Hello viewers, you are most welcome for our lesson of today. Today we are going to look at cell biology. In cell biology we are actually focusing on what we call cytology. Cytology, it simply means the study of cells. Cytology is the study of cells. So it means basically we are going to be focusing on the cells, the aspect of cells, and to start our lesson, what we have to know is cells are the most important part of a living thing, and it is believed that all living things, they exist from cells, they are formed from cells. So it is very important for us to have the knowledge of cells. To start, let us have cells. Now, when we look at the analogy of the cells, in analogy, when we say analogy, it means trying to compare with compare cell with something which is not a cell. Especially our families. The families are the basic units of the community or the society. Without families, the society cannot exist. Societies are formed from the families. Likewise, an organism is also formed from cells. All living things are formed or are made of cells. So they exist from cells. So because of that, cells are the fundamental units of the living things. So because of that, someone can now define cell as cell is the basic unit of living thing. So it means all living things are formed from cells. So it means they are the fundamental units of living thing. So since cells are the fundamental units of living things, they form the structures of living things. They form how an organism can appear, because there are some organisms that are very tiny and they are made out of one cell that we call single-celled organisms. There are those that are made out of very many cells and they are very large in size. We call them multicellular organisms. It means the cells, they determine the structure or the nature of an organism. So therefore, we can also define cells as the structural unit of an organism. Cell is the structural unit of an organism. So when we say an organism, it means living thing, because in biology, all living things, we call them organisms. So cell is the structural unit of an organism. It means the cell forms the structure of an organism. And the cells here, they have also some particular sites within their structure that we call organelles that perform a lot of functions that enables the life of an organism to continue. So in that respect, we're saying the cells are the functional units of an organism, because the cells, they play a lot of roles, or they play many functions within an organism that keeps an organism alive. Therefore, a cell can also be defined. Cell is the functional unit of an organism or living thing. An organism or living thing. Now when we look at the three definitions that we have on board, where we say the cells, they are the fundamental point of a living thing, or the form structure of an organism, or they are the functional unit, or they play a lot of functions within an organism that keeps an organism alive. So comprehensively, someone can define cell as therefore a cell is the basic structural and functional unit of an organism or of a living thing. Of a living thing. Of a living thing. So this is our comprehensive definition of a cell. A cell is the basic structural and functional unit of a living thing. Now, from here, it is going to take us to look at the origin of the cell. The origin of the cell. Of the cell. Now we had said that some organisms, some living things are made out of one cell. Then there are those that are made out of very many cells. But where are these cells coming from? What is the origin of the cell? Do they reproduce to form other cells? No. We're saying the new cells are formed from already existing cells. So the process by which new cells are formed from already existing cells, we call it cell division. So therefore, the cells are formed from existing cells. From existing cells through the process called cell division. So it means multicellular organisms that are made out of very many cells, the other cells develop from the first cell, which later on formed large and complex organisms. So it means the process by which a cell divides to give rise to two or more other cells is what we call cell division. Now, for example, if this is the first cell and this cell undergoes cell division to form two other cells, now we describe the first cell that divides to form other cells as the parent cell. So the two cells or the other cells that are formed from the parent cells, we call them daughter cells. So now the process by which a parent cell divides to give rise to daughter cells is called cell division, and this is actually what we call a cell division. Now, let us have some understanding on the formation of organisms from cells. We have said that there are some organisms or some living things that are made out of one cell. So, the organisms that are made out of one cell, or there are some cells that have got ability to live as an independent organism, and such organisms we call them unicellular or single-celled organisms. So we're saying unicellular or single-celled organisms are living things made up of one cell. For example, here we can talk about bacteria, we can talk about amoeba, plus other single-cell organisms or plus other living things, which are very many. You can try to also research in the books, then you see other more examples of the single-cell organisms. Then we also have the second group that we call multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms. Multicellular organisms, these are living things made up of many cells cells. So it means the multicellular organisms or the multicellular living things, these are the organisms that are made of many cells. Many cells are joined together to form such organisms. For example, we have the animals. Animals are one of the examples. Plants are inclusive. We have plants. Then also the fungi and protists, some protists, they all belong in this. Now, this will take us to look at the characteristic feature of the cell. So now let us look at the characteristics of cell, or features of the cell. Features of a cell. Of a cell. What are the features of a cell? The cell has four many unique features. And one of the features of the cell is that they are microscopic. It is microscopic. So meaning that the cells are very tiny, or they are very small, that we cannot see them with our naked eyes. So they need a magnifying instrument to see them. That's why when we're studying cells, we use microscope to study cells, because the cells are very tiny that we cannot see them with our naked eyes. Two, cells are membrane bound. So it means cells are surrounded by membrane. All cells, they have cell membrane. When you look at animal cell, it has cell membrane. When you look at the plant cell membrane, and even the cell of a bacterium, you can also see that it has cell membrane. So the other characteristics we can talk about is cell also has organelles. Organelles are special structures within the cell that play functions, unique function or different functions within the cell, which are sites for different reactions or chemical processes within the cell. We call them cell organelles. So the cells have organelle. For example, when we look at the animal cell, it has organelles like mitochondria, like endoplasmic reticulum, and so on. So it means all the cells, they have organelles. That's also one of the properties or characteristics of the cell. Lastly and most importantly, cells have ability to replicate. Replication here, we're looking at the process by which a cell divides to give rise to other new cells. So it means the existing cells, they have got ability to divide to form other new cells. That's what we call ability to replicate. So it means they can divide, they have ability to divide to form other cells. So these are the basic characteristics of cells.